Hello, everyone. My name is Mohammed Shiban, and I am co-lecturing in MGW 1232 Islamic Business. I'm taking the part of the Islamic Banking and Finance. I don't know how much I will cover in this part, but I'm taking part of this week and also talking about the same topic next week. So week 7 and week 8. I'm talking about this issue of Islamic banking and Islamic finance. Now, this is a very wide area, expanding and progressing over time. Started in 1970 and continuing until now. So what I will do is I had today around 27 slides. I will try to make it to finish it as soon as possible in this recording. I will also upload the slides. So if you allow me, I'll just share the screen and start maybe talking about the issue of today. So when we talk about Islamic finance and banking, we will start with the banking. And now banking, commercial banking or conventional banking is actually like the Islamic banking in terms of the services they provide. If you are a customer in Islamic bank or you are a customer in a commercial bank, you will not see the difference. However, the risk sharing between the customer and the bank is different in the two models. The return is different. The contract that underline the deposit facilities or the financing facilities are different. So as I'm going to explain in this slides, 27 slides. I don't know how long that will take, but we'll just go over the concepts. And what I will do today is I will go over the deposit side in Islamic banking, and I will try to go to the contracts and show you how is it different from conventional banking. Now, I hope some of you know what is the deposit side in the conventional banking. Even if you don't know, I will just try to explain it. So this is what I'm trying to do. I'll just start to describe those facilities, which is the deposit sides and these conventional banks. And then I will talk about the Islamic ones. And then I will show you the difference between hopefully you will understand the difference between these two business models. Now, this is an Islamic bank, as you can see, and it's actually an existing bank, which is the Islamic Bank of Britain. Now, in this bank, for example, they provide the facilities. They have what we call the Islamic financing, which means the deposit side is here. As you can see, we have what we call, this is the current account, and this is the saving accounts, and this is the fixed deposit. So when we go to the banks, actually, to any conventional bank, we will either put our money there for keeping it. If we are businesses, we need a current account so we can issue checks and all these things later on, or transfer to customers or suppliers. If we are just individuals like me and you, we may have a saving account. Now, the saving account and the current account has been, the problem with the current account has no problem because we have what we call there is no return. So you put your money there, an asset, and the bank will keep that asset, which is the principal, and they will give it to you based on your demand, which means we call it demand deposits. Now, savings account have some type of return, and in commercial banks, they will give you some type of return called interest. Now, this interest in Islamic bank is called riba, and you cannot have riba in Islamic banks. But you still need to receive deposit. So they have to develop some type of other return that will substitute this interest, but it should be Islamic, in compliance with Islamic um, law, which we call it Sharia. So we call it, at the end of the day, Sharia compliant type of financial products. The same thing applied to this part, which is the long-term deposits. Sometimes, as I told, we go to the bank, put current account, if we are businesses. Me and you will look for saving accounts because we want some just return, and maybe in the same time, we need to withdraw it anytime. And then there is something called long-term deposits. Long-term deposits, you put it there and then you invest it for 30 days, 70 days. We have 30, 90, 180 days, 270 days. We have up to 2 years, 5 years. This is the longest maturity you can find for the what we call long-term deposits. But they will give you some type of return. In Islamic banks, you cannot give this return, but you still need to receive a deposit so the money can run in the economy and the economic cycle. Having said that, so the function of any financial institution actually is, this is what's happening if you are in the market. The money, when it goes from the households to the corporations, it goes like this way. So we can meet in the market without those financial intermediaries. And therefore, in the market, you will have some people who issue bonds and some people who buy those bonds, or some type of other, financing. And the depositors or the users of funds and the providers of funds will meet in one single place called the market. Now, the market can be online. It doesn't have to have, a physical location, but this is what's happening. So they will give you cash and they give them equity and debt claims that will have, some type of return. Now, this one is not in banking, it's in the market. Let's take it off and let's talk now about this issue, which is actually, we are talking about the intermediation, which is the household, which is me and you and any depositors. We give to the banks. The banks will take this money and invest it in corporation. And this is what we call the financial intermediation. So this is the financial intermediation. Islamic banks are financial intermediaries, and commercial banks are financial intermediaries. However, as a depositor, when you give the cash, they will give you some type of return, as I said, and this return includes some type of interest. Unless the bank will take the money and invest it in and work as a broker, and buy, some stocks and bonds and other what we call financial securities, and give you some type of return. Now, this does not apply any type of interest. And if you are buying those type of, for example, stocks, you have no problem with dividends. We have problem if the bank is if you put a cash and they will give you some type of return for that cash with the principal later on. Therefore, they have to solve this problem. Anyways, so actually the function of the Islamic finance and the Islamic banking is to mobilize and to move funds from the surplus factor, what we call the surplus sector in the society, to the deficit, which is the corporations who need the money. They need our savings so they can start with those projects. And this is what actually Islamic banks and commercial banks should do. And you can read this slide, it's just explaining what I have just said here. Now, this is some, foundations and some background from the Islamic literature and Islamic traditions, why this riba has been prohibited. It's very clear in the Quran and the Sunnah. And let me tell you what is the Quran and the Sunnah. This is actually the text of the Muslim Islamic religion, where they can take all those rules. Now, the Quran is the word of God coming from the, as it is from the skies, from God to the Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad just put it as it is and diffuse it to the people. But Sunnah is actually the acts and the sayings and the acts of the Prophet. And all of those, Sunnah and Quran, are actually in compliance. So the book and what the Prophet has said is in compliance, and therefore this is the basic rules in the Islamic religion. Now, those two clearly have prohibited the riba, and riba translated as interest. So there is no way you can take riba. Money cannot make money, but money with labor can make money. So you have the difference here. If you are going to take, if I'm going to take from you money, I have to invest it in some type of work, and then that work will give profit or losses. We have to share the profit and losses. This is one thing. The other thing is the money that you receive. Either you be a partner in the work, so you provide, I provide the work and you provide some type of capital. We go on a project and we share the profit and losses. Some other ways and some other forms of putting the money with me is just for custody, which means it's a savings. You put it with me, and we have known this in other cultures. We have seen it in Chinese, 7,000 years, in India, 4,000 years, in all those, civilizations. We have seen the savings account. However, when you receive savings and you start transform it to loans, this is what we call financial intermediation. Now, to put the savings, no problem in Islamic finance. The problem, as I told you, in the nature of the return. If the return is fixed, according to the contract, it's riba. And this is what actually commercial banks do. When you put a saving account, they will give you a return in this country, for example, of 2%. If you put some type of long-term deposit, they will give you something like 4%. Wherever the bank uses the money, it's his problem. How do they use it? It's their problem. So you are going to receive, a return for that. Islam recognizes this as riba and as a prohibited income. Therefore, Islamic finance has to come up with some type of consolidations for this. And therefore, this is actually where we receive the money. So people actually put their money. Let me tell you, this is, you can read this. I don't want to spend too much time here, but this is actually about the Islamic law, which is Sunnah, which is the sayings of the prophets, and Quran, which is the word of God. And as I told you, the word of God and the sayings and doings of the prophet has been identified as a context for the Islamic religion and the source and the main source of the rules and the Islamic law. Now, Islamic finance also, based on those rules, have developed so many names for those financial facilities that is halal. And this is a new word for you. Halal means is just the opposite of haram, and haram is the prohibition. So the permission or the permissible income is coming under the word of halal. Halal means permission or allowed or not prohibited according to the religion. And the basic rules in Islamic finance and in Islam in general, everything in life is halal, except what has been said clearly in the Quran and the Sunnah, which is the the source of the Islamic law. If it has been identified as haram, then that is the exception. So just to put it to say it differently, everything is permitted, permissible, not prohibited, and this is the rule. The exception is the haram, which is things has been identified clearly that you cannot take it. So riba has been identified as one of those exceptions. Islamic finance have developed so many contracts, which is used in all those Islamic banks around the world. So we have Mudaraba, Musharaka, Murabaha, Ijara, all those names of contracts, of halal contracts. Now, let me just tell you what is the sources of Islamic finance. If you look at the balance sheet of in Islamic finance will get the money will get it from two parts. They will get the money either from contributions, which is the shareholders, or from the depositors' money. And this is actually the liability side. They take this money, which is the capital contribution by the shareholders and the depositors, and they invest it in loans or investment in the market. Now, receiving this has to be according to Sharia and according to Islamic law. Giving the loans have been should be according to Sharia. Now, let me just take you more to this one to tell you what is this deposits. We know what is the capital. The capital is the contribution of the founders of the bank. Now, this is the liability structure, which means where the bank can get money from either Islamic finance or either Islamic banks or commercial banks. We can get it from these areas. We can get it actually, we can get it actually from these areas. We can get it from current account. We can get it from checking account, which is another current account actually. We can get it from saving accounts. We can get it from term deposits, and we can get it from all those sources. What I'm going to talk about today is the current account, which is those two parts, the saving accounts and the term deposits. Now we know it, and this is the conventional bank structure. The Islamic banks is actually still in Islamic banks, they receive the money from, as I told you, from the contributions or from the depositors. Now contributions, either Islamic bank or conventional banks are the same. If you are a shareholder, you are a shareholder. You are a partner. You are under what we call profit and loss sharing, and Islamic finance has no problem to receive, to give you dividends as long as you share the profit and the losses. The problem here is the deposits. Now, the deposit in Islamic banks is the first category, which is the current account, which is this one. And the saving account, so we have three categories. We have the first category, which is a deposit facility called current account, which is sometimes known as a checking account. The second one called the second category, which called the saving accounts. And people have it actually for saving and for precautionary motives. So they need to keep it there for custody, and in the same time, they want to keep it also for some type of return. The third one is the investment actually, which is comes under the fixed deposits, which I told you 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, up to 5 years. Now in Islamic finance, they have transferred the current account, this one, and this one, and this one to one account. And this account is called wadi'ah. So wadi'ah is safe custody. which means I can receive your assets, which is the money, keep it with me, and give it to you later on. But the problem is I need to use it. So if I need to use it, I may lose it because I am going to use the funds or this asset. Therefore, I need a permission from you to let me use your money, and you will sign that. But I will give you a guarantee that if something happened to your money, I actually guarantee it. And therefore, Islamic finance now and Islamic banking are receiving the deposits under this this contract, wadi'a yad damana, which means safe custody plus guarantee. And this is what you call it, wadi'a yad damana. And Islamic and all those banks in Malaysia, they use it. Middle East, they use discount. Even in Europe, in the US, they use all this name of this account, which is understood. It's the same structure. It's, I will receive your money and I have the right to use it, but I will guarantee for you. Now, this is just for receiving the money. What about the return? The return is the riba issue, which is the interest. I'm not going to give you an interest, but I'm going to give you some type of gift. So before we continue to the gift, so we have wadi'a ad-damana, which is, it equals current account plus savings account and conventional banks. Now, this is the other definition of wadi'a, which the depositors have the assurance that his money, he can withdraw his money. And also in the same times, if the bank uses it's the withdrawals, they receive, if they use it, they give them a guarantee. Now let's look at the return. As you can see here, this is the depositor. The depositor will put the money here to Islamic banks. Islamic banks uses this money. They will make a profit. They will give you part of the profit under this name, hiba or gift. So this is what we call a neutral contract. It's a contract from one side, which means the bank has the right to give gift or doesn't give gift, to give you a return or not. It's not a fixed income. It's not in the contract. It's only the bank. It's up to the bank, and it's up to the discretionary of the bank to give you this return or not to give you this return. And therefore, this is why they make it halal, why they make it Sharia compliant. Now, what do Islamic banks in this country give gift? Yes. How much is this gift? It's competitive with the interest. So do they manage to do that? Yes, they do that. So however, the whole contract now is becoming halal because you receive the money, you don't give promises. Of course, you can, it's up to you to give or not to give, to increase or to decrease. But of course, competition will govern that one. But from a Sharia perspective, from Islamic bank perspective, it's completely halal. And this is how it works. So now we solved actually the two problems of this current account and saving accounts. Up to here, the bank can receive, they can use the money, they can give you the guarantee. And in terms of the return, they will give you hiba or gift, and then gift is according to discretionary of the bank. So we are done. The complication is a little bit here when you have a term deposits. So let's go to the, this is what I said. So let's go at, deposit is coming under the word mudaraba. And mudaraba is the name of the contract, mudaraba. And mudaraba is actually, it's a kind of partnership where one party provides the capital and the other party provides the work and management. This is a profit and loss sharing account. So You as a depositor will be like an investor, and the bank will be like entrepreneur. So now the entrepreneur will work for you. They will not provide any, it's a partnership. So they will not provide any type of capital, but they will use their expertise, work, and effort to make some outcome of this money, and they will distribute it. And this is how it works. So you have, this is the customer, this is the bank. So the customer will give the money to the bank, as you can see here. They will give the money. The bank will use time and effort and invest in halal activities. Will have a profit. This profit will be distributed, usually 70-30. So this is how it happens. What if it is a losses? All the losses will go to the customers, as I will explain it here. So this is, as I told you, let me just start like this. This is the project. This is me and you. We agreed to make a project. The bank will make the project with us. So this is the entrepreneur. He will not provide any capital. Now, in this case, this may produce some types of profit or produce some types of losses. Now, if it is profit, we said 70%, we can say 80%, but we can say 70% goes to the bank, to the customer, and 30% say here, you can say 30%, sorry, 30% goes to the bank, which is the entrepreneur. This is when there is a profit. What about when there is losses? When there is losses, the 100% will go, as you can see, to the investor. Now, this has to be, of course, entrepreneur has to, what we call provide and prove due professional care in dealing with this funds, and if it's proved that there is any negligence in dealing with this funds, then the bank will be liable for that. But usually, or the entrepreneur, but usually we are talking about the normal case where due professional care has been given and proven that the bank and as entrepreneur have done its best to invest the funds. That's all the three facilities. And this is how it works actually. So this is an investor, as I told you. They put money in the bank will use the money. Sorry, the bank will use the money. Now 30% that they will make a profit. 30% will go to the bank and 70% go to the investor. What if it's 100%? 100% to go to the investor. If it is a losses. So please follow this chart, is also nice. Now this is other things to talk about the sources of fund in Islamic finance and Islamic. This is all what we call financial projects and their objectives, and whether the principal values is guaranteed, as you can see, under Wadi'a, yes, under Wadi'a current account, yes, under Qard Hasan is yes. This is you put the bank as as a loan to them. You give a bank as a loan. We didn't talk about it, but it's another facility how you put your money. And then general investment account and special investment accounts, which is Mudaraba accounts that have a profit. The principal is not guaranteed, and there is a profit sharing, and the risk is high. Here, there is no risk. So for you as an investor, here, no risk, no risk, no risk. Since the principal is guaranteed, here the risk is high, but of course the return is high since it's a profit loss sharing. That's all. Let me tell you now in modern banking. So if you want to see the facilities, safekeeping, withdrawal, check, Sharia compliance. Conventional current accounts, they have safekeeping. they give you withdrawal, and they give you checks if you want to withdraw checks. But this has to be Sharia compliant. So they are actually the same. Islamic facilities of current account, they can, in Islamic banks, you can withdraw your money from ATM, you can do online banking, you can do, you can receive account statements for the debit account, for the debit cards, and for the current accounts. Now, for the credit cards is a different issue. We'll talk about it maybe next week. And they will give you a checkbook. As you can see here, can you have overdraft? No, overdraft, which means they give you more lending, but you can have this in conventional banks. Do you receive interest? No. Can you fund non-Sharia activities? For example, can you participate and be partner with, any non-Sharia or non-Islamic activities, like you can talk about, any riba related activities, pork, manufacturing, or, farming activities. You can talk about gambling, speculations, all those activities, actually pornography, whatever, all those drug, anything, all those, some of these activities actually they share with Islamic, with the conventional banks, but somebody like something like, for example, when you talk about pork-related businesses and farming and all these things, when we talk about gambling, conventional banks can do, Islamic banks cannot do with their customers. They have they provide what we call, if you are a student or you are in need, they can provide loans without interest. We call it charity loans or Qard Hasan. You cannot find this in conventional banks. Islamic banks, if you look at the deposits, you can receive under Wadi'a, Mudaraba and Qard, Murabaha and Qard. This is cost plus basis. And investment accounts, you can receive it under all those, which is Musharaka, Mudaraba. We only talked about this, so you don't have to worry about all of those. Just we will talk about, we talked about this one, we talked about this one, but this is another actually forms of receiving deposits. All we need is actually just take care of this one, and this one, at least this is a practice in Malaysia. I want to thank you very much, and I'm going to end this. Hopefully it didn't take a long time. I will record for next week for the financing facilities. Thank you very much, and have a great day wherever you are. Thank you.